Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about other people's opinions on you and how we start to slowly make them our own. So when I was growing up, I absolutely loved to dye my hair these bright, vivid, happy colors: purples, blues, pinks, highlights, ombres, you name it. I also had this entire list of intricate tattoos that I had designed that I couldn't wait to eventually get. All that stopped when I met my now ex husband. He was of the mindset that women who have or get tattoos and dye their hair have some form of issue with them, that it's a cry for help, that they have a daddy issue or self hatred, or I'm not even exactly sure what, just that it was bad. So I wasn't allowed to get tattoos in our relationship. It was grounds for immediate divorce, and it wasn't a joke. We would go down to the courthouse that day and get divorced. There was actually a whole list of things that I wasn't allowed to do if I did not want to immediately file for divorce that day, which was interesting because they only applied for me and not males in general. A lot of his thought patterns were how females should act. For instance, guys were allowed to have tattoos and not have issues. Guys were allowed to have tattoos just because guys like tattoos. Females were not. If we had a tattoo, it was because we had some form of body hatred or mental issue on the subject. But anyways, I'm getting off subject on that. So moving along, eventually I would start telling myself things like, well, I really don't want to dye my hair because it's going to kill it anyways. And I really didn't want tattoos because my skin is perfect and beautiful without them. And I really didn't want insert whatever the reason was. And I would start to believe these things, even though deep down I still loved these vivid colors and I love the ideas of tattoos. And when I saw other females with tattoos, I thought they were absolutely gorgeous. It never crossed my mind that they were getting these things because they were broken or dead inside. And I would spend a lot of time trying to please my husband and not lose myself in the process. But no matter how hard I tried, I could not gain his approval, and my self worth in myself was quickly derailing. So eventually, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I said I was done. We were filing for divorce, and he said, okay. And we went down to the courthouse and we filed. Of course, as this was happening, I heard the same things that I'm sure many of you have heard. You're never going to find a better person than me. I was the best thing that ever happened in your life. Your life is going to go to complete crap from this point forward, which of course moved into, I'm going to find a better version of you. I deserve a better person, and I was limiting myself by dating you. And we all have this dream that one day our ex is going to look back and think, man, I really screwed up and they were the best thing in my life. But I knew that was never going to happen with him. In fact, one day we were sitting down and he says to me, I have a hard time being around you because every time I see you, all I can think about is how I wasted my time with you and I couldn't change you into a better person to be with me. And it upsets me. And I'm like, wow, that's all you got out of that relationship was about you. Nothing I did mattered, and it was never going to matter. It's also around that time that I realized he never liked me. In fact, he hated everything about me. He hated my hair dyes. He hated the fact that I liked tattoos. He hated the one tattoo I had, but he couldn't really say anything about because it was there before I met him. He hated my moralism. He hated everything. The entire relationship he just spent trying to mold me into his idea of this perfect female, of what I should or could be in his head. But the me, the version that he had and the one that is me, he didn't like at all. So, of course, nothing that I did was ever going to be good enough because I was never going to fit that mold of the person he wanted me to be in his head. And I'm so glad I left when I did. I'm so much happier now. But the other day I went to go to the store to buy something. I don't remember what it was. And I had to go down the hair dye aisle. And I thought, man, I really like that color on that box. And it would kind of be fun to dye my hair, but of course at the same time I'm thinking it's bad for my hair. Only women who dye their or women who dye their hair have these issues, and inserted a whole string of ridiculous thoughts. And I was like, well, wait a second. Those aren't my thoughts on the hair dye, are they? So I had to stop and think where these thoughts were streaming from, because I obviously wanted to dye my hair. I liked the idea of dyeing my hair, yet in the front of my mind I had this inner battle of, well, could I dye my hair? Should I dye my hair? And I'm not really a coulda, shoulda person. I want to do it, I'm going to do it, I did it. So that's when I realized that the voice was his voice in my head, and I wanted to dye my hair. So I bought the box of hair dye, dyed my hair, and I'm actually very pleased with how it turned out. The first go around, I really screwed it up, and my roots came out blonde as all get up, and I had to fix that. But that's a different story for another time. But yeah, I went and bought a box of hair dye. I am super pleased with how the color came out. I absolutely love it. I will probably dye my hair purple next. And, well, screw everyone else's opinions on what I should and should not do with my body at this point. And I hope you guys enjoyed this quick chat. And if you want to go dye your hair, go dye it.